What an exceptional joke from you, Cal. Don't worry, the prince will be back with the Katamari soon. Oh, speaking of the devil, here he is now.
Yeah, I'm here, the Prince of all Cosmos, back with the Katamari you've asked for.
Excellent work, Prince. Ooh, I'd say that this Katamari is a bit in the small side. Oh, I see the problem. You've collected a cow a bit too early. Well, no matter. I may actually ask your cousin Ace to do the job next time. I would give this Katamari a 3 points out of 100. But that's okay, because I can still make the planet. So, without further hesitation, let me make this planet.
I hate this job. A sequel to Katamari Damacy. We Love Katamari is hands down my favorite Katamari game. This game was so cool to me back in the day. I don't know if this game holds up to today's standards, but I'm hoping by the end of this video I'm able to convince you to buy this game, or better yet, hope for a remaster for it. We Love Katamari first came out in Japan on July 6, 2005, and then came out in the US on the same year on September 20th. According to the very reliable source Wikipedia, Keita Takahashi didn't want a sequel to Katamari Damacy. However, Namco just said screw that, and they were gonna make the sequel anyway, and they would even continue without Keita Takahashi if he didn't want to work on it. But at the end, Keita decided, sure, why not, and ended up being the director of that game. He probably didn't want his ideas to become something else by someone else. I found out that this is the last Katamari game he directed, so the games that came out after this one were directed by someone else. It's funny yet strange because right after this game, me and my Katamari released on the PSP on December 22nd, 2005 in Japan. Oddly close and pretty quick in terms of development. So gameplay is no less different than Katamari Damacy. You still have the same control schemes, mainly moving both control sticks to move the Katamari and moving one for the camera. But everything else is the same, in terms of the controls that is. If you want more details on the controls, you can go watch my Katamari Damacy video. The game itself actually has a different style going for it. You'll notice this the moment you enter the hub world. In Katamari Damacy, we had all the planets that had different functions, one planet being the system config and customization, one planet being the level select, and one planet being the multiplayer. But that changed for this game. The system config, levels, customization, and multiplayer can be found on one layer of the hub, while the collectibles on the next layer. It sounds weird how I'm calling them layers, but that's what made the most sense for me calling it. I mean, you are going up and down to go to a new part of the map. Alright, so we know that the gameplay is the same and the hub world is different than the last one. Then what about the actual levels? Well, for the most part, they are pretty much the same. Roll up stuff, get bigger, and do it until the timer runs out. That's the case for the majority of the levels, but not all of them. This time, the game took a creative approach with its levels to keep it from being repetitive. The popular one, or at least the one I think is popular, is the drive level. This has a pretty great song to go with it, with you pretty much not in control of the acceleration of the Katamari. Your job is to get the Katamari at least as big as the goal, but the catch being you can only control going horizontally. That's not the only gimmick level there is, as there's the snowman level on making a snowman head, gathering enough fireflies to make your Katamari bright enough, not being able to collect cows or bears, which is my least favorite level, and making a sumo wrestler as big as possible, which is my favorite one. I noticed that there are actually more special levels than levels you actually need to make your Katamari as big as possible. Apparently, those types of missions are the main missions in this game, and just like the last game, the final mission is making the Katamari as big as possible. This time, instead of 300 meters, it needs to at least be 500 meters. That means more stuff to collect, meaning there may be parts that are laggy. Bear in mind, this is the PS2, so lag is expected with so many objects loaded at once. I definitely have a more enjoyable time playing this one for sure. It also looks a bit brighter than the previous game. Not bad.
Multiplayer still exists in this game. You can play against each other or you can play co-op. Co-op is pretty much what you expect. Both of you are controlling one Katamari. For whatever reason, these games have stories. Katamari Damacy was remaking The Moon That Broke, so what was the main goal for this one? Well, it's nothing that has to do with the main goal. You're really just taking requests from people since they like Katamari so much. I got that information from the Katamari wiki, but it's probably somewhere in the manual. The story you get is the origin story of the King of Cosmos. Every time you complete a main level, you get one portion of his life revealed. Whether it's that he wasn't allowed to live a normal life because of his royal name, or him finding his wife and having his child, the Prince of all Cosmos. It's a pretty fun story. It's sad to see that this is the only time we get to see something like this in the Katamari series. But the story is most likely something you've already seen done by other stories about royalty and stuff. All in all, I don't think the main goal for this game was the story. It was mainly the gameplay. Music is as wacky as ever. I don't see many people looking at this soundtrack as much, but I honestly prefer this one over Katamari Damacy's soundtrack. My favorite song this time is Baby Universe, and, well, I actually don't have a least favorite. Every song in this game is so fun and all fit their levels. This time, you have the option to choose the song on your second playthrough of a level. I just really think they went crazy with this soundtrack since the levels are a bit unique than the first game. But that's about it for music. In Katamari Damacy, you may have noticed some characters that aren't the prince. Yes, there are more than one playable character. However, in Katamari Damacy, you can only play them in multiplayer. This time though, you can actually play as them. And these characters are connected to the prince by being his cousin. They don't really make a difference in gameplay other than aesthetics, but I really love every cousin's design. What made me obsessed with them is the fact that they are a collectible in this game. That's right, instead of just collecting presents, you also will be looking out for cousins to collect. Some can be easy, and some can be hard to find. And every level can range from having one cousin to having like 5. Overall, the game is really fun. There's a lot packed in this game. It still feels as an arcade game, but it definitely has its replayability to it. I always come back to this game after like a year or two, and I don't think I'll just suddenly stop playing this game. For fun, I would just start a new save data.
And that was We Love Katamari. I would say that this is the best Katamari game out there, but there is still one more Katamari game that I still have to review. Obviously there are more than 3 Katamari games, but I just felt like this next Katamari game that I'll be reviewing is just a good way to end Katamari in my channel. I love this series, but I wouldn't make 6 videos talking about how to roll up a Katamari. So instead, this next video is just gonna be the last for this channel. When that video will be? Probably next year. But if you ever felt like playing a Katamari game, this one's the one.